In the summer of 2016, the most electric athlete in college football won the Heisman Trophy. The youngest ever to win it. A quarterback who moved like a sprinter and threw like a cannon. Back then, one scout said something crazy. If this kid had chosen baseball, he might have become the most dangerous player the game had ever seen. He chose football, and he changed the game forever. That athlete was Lamar Jackson. He never set foot on a professional diamond. But what if he did? What if Lamar Jackson said yes to baseball instead, and reminded an entire sport what it had forgotten how to be? What if the most explosive athlete in football history never played a single down? Not because he wasn't good enough, not because of injury, but because in another version of his story, the sport that found him first was baseball. And the speed that made NFL defensive coordinators lose sleep at night was instead the thing that made pitchers, catchers, and infield defenses simply break down. This is not a story about Lamar Jackson hitting 50 home runs. This is a story about what happens when a sport built on analytics, efficiency, and optimization suddenly has to account for something it never thought to measure: pure athletic chaos. Let's all play this. Okay, before we go into alternate reality mode, let's be honest. Lamar Jackson in baseball is not as far-fetched as it sounds. Jackson grew up in Pompano Beach, Florida, a legendary hotbed for athletic talent. He attended Boynton Beach High School, where in just 2 years he threw for 2,263 yards and 31 touchdowns, while rushing for 1,624 yards and 22 touchdowns. But before he was a quarterback, he was a pure multi-sport athlete, a once-in-a-generation talent coaches knew would dominate whichever sport claimed him. At Louisville, Jackson didn't just win the Heisman Trophy in 2016, he became the youngest player in history to receive it. He did so by redefining the quarterback position, playing part point guard, part sprinter, and part improviser. He tracked at over 18 miles per hour at full speed during his college years, matching the fastest wide receivers in the country. He wasn't a dual-threat quarterback. He was a different species of athlete entirely. When NFL teams tried to force him into an old mold, some scouts even suggested a switch to wide receiver at the combine, Jackson flatly refused. He sent a clear message that would define his career. "I don't fit your system. Your system will fit me." That attitude, that particular brand of creative defiance. Now imagine it showing up in a sport that had spent a decade trying to eliminate exactly that kind of player. By the mid-2000s, MLB was completely consumed by data. The launch angle revolution turned the game into a formula of home runs, strikeouts, and walks. Analytics departments told managers to stop running because the risk simply wasn't worth it. Spontaneity was dead. Stolen bases had plummeted by 40% since the 1980s. Speed was no longer a primary weapon. Teams optimized the thrill right out of the sport, completely ignoring the one entity analytics could never map: a volatile athlete who gets on base and immediately becomes someone else's problem. That is the sport Lamar Jackson walks into. Not as a rookie trying to fit in, but as a problem baseball was never designed to solve. It's 2014. Jackson is 17, out of South Florida, and hasn't committed to football yet. In this alternate reality, a baseball scout catches him at a summer showcase. They see a center field prospect whose movement defies normal mechanics. His first step is violent, his range is unreal, and his arm plays like a rifle. On the bases, his instincts leave opposing coaches whispering. The question scouts can't answer yet: is he a baseball player, or just an extraordinary athlete with a stopwatch? His hitting is raw and his swing is rough. He isn't a power hitter, and nobody expects him to be. What he is, immediately, is a contact threat whose elite running game turns every single at-bat into a tactical nightmare. At Louisville's Speed Day in 2017, Jackson unofficially ran a 4.34-second 40-yard dash, among the fastest ever for a quarterback. On a baseball field, that speed is generational. Consider this: the Major League average sprint speed is 27 feet per second, and elite base runners like Bobby Witt Jr. reach first base in about 4.12 seconds. Jackson's 40-yard dash covers that exact home-to-first distance in 4.34 seconds from a standing start, without a lead, momentum, or live game adrenaline. On a diamond, that is Rickey Henderson speed, the kind of speed that forces mistakes. The stopwatch doesn't capture his defining trait. Jackson played every sport like he had already decided the outcome. That competitive instinct isn't coachable. It's either there or it isn't. And in Lamar Jackson, it is very much there. By 2016, Jackson has been in the minors for 2 years, and his development is clarifying. Defensively, he's already arrived. His range in center field defies everything the organization has charted. He reads ball trajectory off the bat purely instinctually, his body moving before conscious thought kicks in. 3 times in a single month, he robs hits that analytics assigned a catch probability below 15%. On the base paths, he isn't just fast, he's unpredictable. He reads pitchers mid-delivery, breaking for second at moments no algorithm would recommend, and he's safe almost every time. The real tension is at the plate. His swing is growing more disciplined as he studies pitchers the way he once studied defenses. His strikeout rate drops, his on-base percentage climbs. He doesn't need to be a slugger. He's learning his value is simply being on base, because once he's there, the defense must reorganize around him. That's a philosophy baseball knew once and forgot. Rickey Henderson didn't just steal bases, he changed the psychology of the game. Pitchers lost focus, catchers rushed throws, and infielders cheated toward the bag. Henderson once said, "If he's with you, that's great. If he's not, you won't like it." That line applies here, word for word. But wait, this is AltPlay, and we're going further. Because here's the moment that changes everything. It's 2018. Jackson gets his call up to the majors. He hits .261. He draws walks. He strikes out less than almost anyone in his lineup. He steals 38 bases, and that number doesn't even scratch the surface of what he's becoming. His defensive range in center leads the league, but none of those numbers fully explain what's happening. What's happening is this. Opposing pitchers are losing their mechanics on the mound. Catchers are rushing their signs. Infielders are taking half steps toward second base before the pitch is even thrown. Managers are calling timeouts to reorganize defenses, not because of what Jackson has done, but because of what he might do. This has a name in football. It's called the quarterback run threat, the invisible tax a mobile quarterback imposes on a defense even when he never takes off. The threat creates space that doesn't exist without it. On a baseball diamond, Lamar Jackson is collecting that tax on every single pitch. That's where AltPlay gets interesting, because the numbers will never fully capture it. You can't put a statistic on panic. Front offices, the same ones that claimed running wasn't efficient, suddenly have to study a metric they don't have a spreadsheet for: defensive disruption value. The actual runs created purely by forcing opponents into panic mistakes. Jackson isn't an abstract theory about what baseball could be. He is the spectacle itself, playing out on a Tuesday night in front of 40,000 fans who can't look away. Scouting departments immediately start reprioritizing athleticism over data sheets. Youth coaches stop telling fast kids to stand still. He forces a sport built on exit velocity to ask a different question entirely. What happens when pure, uncalculable human theater is standing on first base? Here's the real question this story leaves you with. Not whether Lamar Jackson would have hit .300, not whether he would have won an MVP or made the Hall of Fame or stolen 1,000 bases. The real question is this: can a sport that has been optimized for efficiency be disrupted by one player who is impossible to optimize against? History says yes. Rickey Henderson didn't win because he was the most efficient player. He won because he was the most terrifying one. The defense didn't know what to do with him, and in that uncertainty, he created runs out of nothing. Lamar Jackson in football didn't change what a quarterback looks like by mastering the old system. He changed it by being something the old system couldn't contain. The defense didn't have a rule for him, so the rules changed. In this alternate world, standing in center field with a .270 average and 40 stolen bases, the same thing is happening. Baseball's defense doesn't have a rule for him either. So the rules, and eventually the game itself, begin to change. Did Lamar Jackson dominate baseball? Or did he remind baseball how exciting the sport could be? That's the question. And the honest answer is, probably both. Lamar Jackson and baseball. Could one player really bring unpredictability back to America's pastime? I think the answer says more about what baseball forgot than about what Lamar Jackson could do. Let me know what you think in the comments. And if you want more alternate reality sports breakdowns, the decisions that almost happened, the ripple effects hiding inside the stats, the moments where one choice could have changed everything, subscribe to AltPlay and hit the notification bell. We drop one of these every week, and the next one goes even deeper. Stay curious, and I'll see you in the next one.